Good evening. The Florida Department of Transportation, Florida's Turnpike Enterprise would like to welcome you to the public hearing for the Central Polk Parkway East from US 1792 to the future Poinciana Connector Project Development and Environment or PD&E study. I would like to formally open the public hearing. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, and the time is approximately 6:15 p.m. My name is Jasmine Georges. I am the Turnpike Project Manager. Here with me tonight are Nathan Silva, the Consultant Project Manager, and other representatives of the Enterprise and Consultant Project team. We are moderating this virtual public hearing from Florida's Turnpike Enterprise headquarters and welcome those who are participating virtually or listening through the telephone. As a reminder, those of you who join virtually by computer, tablet, or mobile device will be able to see the presentation and provide verbal comments at the end. At this time, we would like to recognize all federal, state, county, or city officials who registered to attend the virtual public hearing. This includes Davenport City Commissioner Linda Robinson. To provide a verbal comment, you will need to unmute your device when your name is called at the appropriate time. Shown is one option to join this virtual hearing, where you can download the GoTo app. Issues with unmuting generally does not happen when you download the app. Some people have experienced issues unmuting their devices when joining in a web browser. If you selected this option, there was a pop-up that requested use of your microphone. If you did not allow use of your microphone and would like to provide a verbal comment at the end, the easiest solution may be to leave now and rejoin using the app. We will now begin the project presentation. It runs for approximately 28 minutes.
The Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, welcomes you to the public hearing for the Project Development and Environment, or PD&E study, for Central Polk Parkway East from US 1792, south of the Powerline Road extension, to the future Poinciana Connector, also known as State Road 538 in Polk County. This public hearing is for Financial Project Identification Number 451419-1 and Efficient Transportation Decision-Making Number 14524. This public hearing was advertised consistent with the federal and state requirements shown on the slide. This project is being developed in accordance with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns about Title VI may do so by contacting either the Florida Department of Transportation, Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, or the Tallahassee office of the Florida Department of Transportation. This contact information is also provided on a sign displayed at the in-person hearing and on the project website. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise has provided multiple options for interested persons to participate in this public hearing, virtually or online, by telephone in listen-only mode, or in person. The same information is being presented at each option. The proposed improvements involve constructing a new tolled, limited-access highway from US 1792 south of Powerline Road to the future Poinciana Connector in Polk County. The purpose of this public hearing is to share information with the general public about the proposed improvements, its conceptual design, all alternatives under study, and the potential beneficial and adverse social, economic, and environmental impacts upon the community. The public hearing also serves as an official forum, providing an opportunity for members of the public to express their opinions regarding the project. There are two primary components to tonight's hearing. First, this presentation, which will explain the project purpose and need, study alternatives, potential impacts, both beneficial and adverse, and proposed methods to mitigate adverse project impacts. And second, a formal comment period following this presentation, where you will have the opportunity to provide oral statements at the microphone or in writing, or you may provide your comments directly to the court reporter if you are attending the hearing in person. Today's presentation will provide an overview of the study, the project's purpose and need, and our community involvement efforts. It will then explain the preferred and no-build alternatives and the potential environmental effects associated with the proposed improvements. Lastly, the study schedule will be discussed along with how you can make a comment. A PD&E study is the second phase of FDOT's project development process. It determines the environmental effects associated with a proposed transportation project. Key components of the PD&E study include an evaluation of existing conditions, identification of future traffic needs, alternatives development, and evaluation of the alternatives based on environmental and engineering factors. An important component of the PD&E process is public and agency involvement. All findings and recommendations are documented at the end of the study. If a build alternative is selected, then the project moves forward into the design phase. The study area is located in northeast Polk County and the small section of southern Osceola County. The study limits begin on US 1792 south of the Powerline Road Extension intersection, which is currently under construction, and extends approximately 7 miles northeast to the future Poinciana Connector, which is under design and will connect State Road 538 to State Road 429. The CSX rail line borders the study area on the west side. The purpose and need for a project provides the basis for developing, considering, evaluating, and eliminating project alternatives. The need for the Central Polk Parkway East includes accommodating population growth in 2050 and the associated travel demands, improving regional connectivity and overall system linkage, enhancing freight mobility and economic competitiveness, and enhancing safety, emergency evacuation, and response. Polk County continues to be one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. In 1980, the population of Polk County was just over 320,000 residents, and agricultural was the predominant land use. By 2002, the population had grown to just over 480,000 residents, and the transition of agricultural land uses to residential and commercial uses was underway as depicted by the red shading. The 2023 U.S. Census reported the Polk County population was just under 800,000 residents, a growth of 148%, and the red shading reflects the substantial urbanization of former agricultural areas. Polk County's population is expected to continue growing. Forecasts show that from 2023 to 2050, the population will grow an additional 43%. The city of Davenport has grown substantially, as its population increased nearly 500% between 1980 and 2020, and it is expected to grow another 67% by the year 2040. The aerial on the left shows the high density of homes, neighborhoods, and new developments in the area. Residential and employment growth throughout the region has increased the travel demand on the roadway network. Traffic on Polk County's roads increased by nearly 40% between 2012 and 2022, much faster than other counties in the region. Additionally, the total vehicle miles traveled within the county will continue increasing. The increased travel demand has led to congested roadways. Today, light, moderate, or heavy congestion is regularly observed during the peak travel periods on several major regional roadways, including Interstate 4, US 27, and US 1792. Congestion also forms on Lake Wilson Road and County Road 532. The congested conditions on these regional roadways will continue degrading if no improvements or alternative travel routes are constructed. In fact, heavy traffic congestion is forecasted for Interstate 4, US 27, US 1792, Lee-Jackson Highway, County Road 532, and Ronald Reagan Parkway by the year 2050 if nothing is done. There is a need to improve regional connectivity and relieve congestion on the local roadway network. The proposed Central Polk Parkway East project will connect the future Poinciana Connector, providing the Davenport area a higher speed option to get to and from Interstate 4 and State Road 429. According to 2023 data, Polk County supports more than 81 million square feet of freight-related land uses, more than twice that of nearby counties. The Intermodal Logistics Center in Winter Haven is a major freight activity center with the capacity to process up to 300,000 containers per year. There is a need to improve the overall circulation of freight and goods and support economic development within the area. Historical crash data between 2019 and 2023 show a total of 459 crashes occurred on US 1792 within the study area, resulting in 9 fatalities and 179 injuries. Separating the local and regional traffic will reduce congestion and crashes, thereby enhancing safety along US 1792. Lastly, there is a need to improve the local and regional travel routes to help reduce emergency response times and enhance mobility during major emergency events. A goal of our community involvement program is to work collaboratively and coordinate with local governments and stakeholders to build a transportation project that achieves a shared community vision. Feedback received from local governments, agencies, and the public has helped shape the project alternatives. Community outreach will continue through the completion of the study and into future project phases. There have been various opportunities for the public to provide input on this project. The PD&E study began in April of 2024. Virtual and in-person public kickoff meetings were held in December of 2024. Virtual and in-person alternatives public information meetings were held in April of 2025. A project website was developed to share project information and allow interested people to communicate with the project team and provide comments. 2 build alternatives were developed to meet the project's purpose and need. The co-located with US 1792 alternative, which means the Central Polk Parkway East and the US 1792 lanes are co-located within the same right-of-way footprint, and the new alignment alternative, which separates the Central Polk Parkway East from the US 1792 corridor. An evaluation matrix comparing alternatives 1, 2, and the no-build alternative was prepared and is available on the project website. Evaluation criteria included right-of-way impacts, potential impacts to environmental resources, and cost. Alternative 2, the new alignment alternative, was selected as the preferred alternative based on how well it met the project purpose and need, results of environmental and engineering evaluations, and community input. The preferred alternative will be presented in 3 segments to provide an overview of the proposed typical section, major roadway features, overpass locations, and access management changes. To view the project alternatives in greater detail, please refer to the exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person hearing. The first segment is from south of James Street to south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard. The second is from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard. And the third, from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana Connector. The proposed typical section from Powerline Road to just south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard reflects a co-located typical section which features Central Polk Parkway East as a 4-lane limited access highway. US 1792 is reconstructed as a 4-lane frontage road to maintain safe access to adjacent properties and serve local traffic circulation. Shared use paths are provided along both sides of the project to safely accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians. While the existing US 1792 right-of-way is 100 feet wide, the proposed right-of-way width varies from 260 to 300 feet. A conceptual design of the preferred alternative is shown on the following slides. North is to the right. The proposed improvements would start on US 1792 north of James Street and continue to the north along US 1792. Bargain Barn Road would be realigned to join the Powerline Road intersection. Access to and from the proposed highway would occur north of Powerline Road, after which the highway would be co-located with US 1792 for a short distance. The highway separates from US 1792 north of Lemcarnes Road. The highway will bridge over Lemcarnes Road and the CSX Railroad spur. The southbound US 1792 lanes will bridge over the highway as it diverges from the median. A wildlife crossing is also being considered at Horse Creek. The widening of US 1792 includes a grassed median, which will result in access changes. Only right-in and right-out turns will be allowed at Murphy Street, Reading Street, and Hibiscus Street. Drivers can use the local street network to make left turns at a full median opening. Motorists will be able to safely make U-turns at the Powerline Road intersection. The access modifications continue north on US 1792. No left turns onto US 1792 will be allowed for any properties along US 1792 between Powerline Road and Lemcarnes Road. Only right-in and right-out will be allowed. U-turn opportunities will be provided at Lemcarnes Road and Powerline Road. A photo simulation was developed to illustrate what the improvements could look like when constructed. This image shows CPP East co-located with US 1792 near Lemcarnes Road. CPP East will overpass Lemcarnes Road, but US 1792 will remain at grade as a signalized intersection. The proposed typical section from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to the Poinciana Connector is a new alignment typical section, which includes a 4-lane limited access highway consisting of two 12-foot wide travel lanes in each direction, separated by a 50-foot wide median. Shoulders of varying widths are provided along the inside and outside travel lanes in accordance with the FDOT design criteria. The total proposed limited access right-of-way width is 286 feet. As a reminder, north is to the right on these graphics. In segment 2, which covers from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard, the proposed highway would continue in a northwest direction until it runs parallel to the CSX Railroad. It would then cross back to the east of US 1792, north of Providence Boulevard. Access to and from the highway is provided north of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard, with interchange ramps that provide northbound on and southbound off access. The highway will travel under Ernie Caldwell Boulevard and bridge over water bodies, wetlands, and US 1792. A portion of US 1792 would be widened to 4 lanes to accommodate the interchange ramps. US 1792 would also be improved to accommodate bridge piers as the highway crosses over it near Providence Boulevard. No left turns onto US 1792 will be allowed between the proposed signals at Lemcarnes Road, Ernie Caldwell Boulevard, and the intermediate US 1792 ramps. Only right-in and right-out will be allowed. U-turn opportunities will be provided at the signalized intersections. The improvements will not affect the access at Providence Boulevard. Drivers will still be able to make left turns into and out of the Providence community. The remainder of US 1792 will remain in its existing condition. Signals are proposed at Ernie Caldwell Boulevard, the intermediate US 1792 ramps, and at Providence Boulevard. A photo simulation was developed to illustrate what the improvements could look like when constructed. This image shows the entrance to the Providence community looking northwest. As previously mentioned, the improvements will not affect the access at Providence Boulevard. We will now move to segment 3, which extends from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana Connector. The proposed highway continues separate from US 1792 and ties into the future Poinciana Parkway Extension interchange that will be completed by the Central Florida Expressway Authority. The highway will bridge over Ronald Reagan Parkway, a water body, US 1792, Parker Road, Old Kissimmee Road, the CSX Railroad, and the future Poinciana Parkway Extension. US 1792 is widened to 2 travel lanes in each direction between Ronald Reagan Parkway and the Poinciana Connector. No left turns onto US 1792 will be allowed between Ronald Reagan Parkway and the Poinciana Parkway crossing. Only right in and right out will be allowed. U-turn opportunities will be provided at Ronald Reagan Parkway. This image shows what the crossing over Ronald Reagan Parkway looking north could look like when constructed. The proposed CPP East Highway is shown on the east side of US 1792. We encourage you to visit the project website at your convenience to view detailed exhibits of the preferred alternative. The total project cost for the preferred alternative is estimated at approximately $1.4 billion in present-day costs. Pending completion of this PD&E study, the enterprise will continue with the design phase as funding becomes available. There is currently no funding for right-of-way or construction. The no-build alternative was also evaluated. This alternative assumes no improvements other than routine maintenance through 2050. Advantages of the no-build alternative include no environmental impacts, no additional right-of-way acquisition, and no construction costs. Disadvantages of the no-build alternative include increased traffic congestion, slower emergency response times, and inefficient emergency evacuation. Additionally, it does not accommodate future growth or economic development. It does not create a safer travel environment, nor does it meet the project's purpose and need. An evaluation matrix comparing the preferred alternative to the no-build alternative is available for review on the project website or at the in-person public hearing. Building the Central Polk Parkway East will ease traffic on US 1792, helping intersections run smoother and reducing travel times and delays. By 2050, drivers could spend up to 53% less time waiting at intersections in the morning and 73% less in the evening. Overall travel times on US 1792 are also expected to drop by about 36% in the morning and 48% in the evening. The preferred alternative was evaluated to analyze potential effects to the social and economic, physical, natural, and cultural environment in accordance with state and federal regulations. These evaluations are documented in the State Environmental Impact Report, or SEER, which is available for public review. Avoidance or minimization of impacts to these features is a key consideration. Impacts that cannot be avoided will be mitigated. Approximately 311 acres of additional right-of-way will be required to construct the proposed highway, resulting in 5 business displacements, 38 residential relocations, and 2 utility parcel displacements. The locations and quantities will be refined during the final design phase. One of the unavoidable consequences on a project such as this is the necessary relocation of families or businesses. On this project, we anticipate the relocation of 38 families and 5 businesses. All right-of-way acquisition will be conducted in accordance with the Florida Statute Section 339.09 and Section 421.55, and also the Federal Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970, commonly known as the Uniform Act. If you are required to make any type of move as a result of a Department of Transportation project, you can expect to be treated in a fair and helpful manner and in compliance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance Act. If a move is required, you will be contacted by an appraiser who will inspect your property. We encourage you to be present during the inspection and provide information about the value of your property. You may also be eligible for relocation advisory services and payment benefits. If you are being moved and you are unsatisfied with the department's determination of your eligibility for payment or the amount of that payment, you may appeal that determination. You will be promptly furnished necessary forms and notified of the procedures to be followed in making that appeal. A special word of caution: if you move before you receive notification of the relocation benefits that you might be entitled to, your benefits may be jeopardized. The relocation specialists who are supervising this program are here tonight at the in-person hearing, and they will be happy to answer your questions and will also furnish you with copies of relocation assistance brochures. If attending virtually, you may contact the project manager for contact information for the right-of-way specialist. A cultural resources assessment survey was conducted to identify cultural resources and assess their eligibility for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. One archaeological site is potentially eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places, and 6 National Register of Historic Places eligible sites are located near the preferred alternative. Ways to avoid or minimize impacts to these cultural resources are being evaluated in coordination with the State Historic Preservation Officer. A Natural Resources Evaluation, or NRE, has been prepared to assess potential impacts to protected species and wetlands. The project may affect the blue-tailed moleskink and sand skink. The project may affect, but is not likely to adversely affect 9 federally listed species. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise will continue coordinating with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission regarding these species and ways to minimize impacts. No adverse effects are anticipated for state-listed species. The proposed improvements will potentially affect an estimated 89 acres of wetlands. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise will mitigate wetland and surface water impacts to meet state and federal requirements. A wildlife crossing is being considered at Horse Creek. Wildlife crossings and/or habitat connectivity enhancements will continue to be evaluated during the design phase. A location hydraulics report was prepared to identify potential 100-year floodplain encroachments resulting from the proposed improvements. Floodplain impacts will be fully compensated for, and there will be no net increases to floodplain stages as a result of this project. A contamination screening evaluation report was prepared to identify contamination concerns within the study area. The results of the contamination screening identified 1 high, 20 medium, 33 low, and 9 no-risk sites. These sites will be further evaluated during the design phase to identify options to avoid, minimize, or mitigate contamination involvement. The study area was evaluated for potential noise impacts, and the results are documented in a noise study report. 4 locations were found to be potentially feasible and reasonable for noise walls under federal regulations and FDOT criteria. Potential noise wall locations are shown in the display boards found on the project website and at the in-person hearing. Current proposed noise walls are conceptual. Future design refinements and constraints such as overhead utilities and drainage could render noise walls unbuildable or result in them not meeting FDOT criteria. Assuming noise walls are still viable in design, community input may be solicited to confirm support, and they will be built during construction. We need your feedback. You can provide comments at the project website, centralpolkparkwayeast.com. If you attend in person, you can complete a printed comment form. You may also email the project manager directly or submit your comments by U.S. mail to the project manager. While written comments and questions are accepted at any time, we ask that you provide comments that you may have in connection with this public hearing by December 15, 2025. All written comments and verbal statements received at this public hearing or submitted to Florida's Turnpike Enterprise by December 15th will be included in the public record for this hearing. The recording of this hearing will be linked to a follow-up email to all registered attendees if an email address was provided. The hearing video link will also be posted on the project website. The public comment period for this public hearing will remain open through December 15th to accommodate the public who view the hearing video after tonight. Outside the public comment period for the hearing, the department welcomes comments regarding the project at any time. The next step is to incorporate your input on this public hearing into our decision-making process. After the comment period closes and your input has been considered, a decision will be made and the final PD&E document will be approved. The PD&E study is expected to be completed in the first quarter of 2026. This project has and will continue to comply with all applicable state and federal rules and regulations. Thank you for your interest in the Central Polk Parkway East from US 1792 to the future Poinciana Connector PD&E study. This concludes the project presentation. The formal comment period will begin now.
Thank you for your attention to the project presentation. It is now 6:45 p.m. and we will begin the formal comment period. Virtual attendees that requested to speak when registering will be called upon first. Afterwards, anyone wishing to make a verbal comment will be able to raise their virtual hand to request to speak. When you are called upon, please state your full name and address. If you represent an organization, municipality, or other public body, please provide that information as well. We ask that you limit your input to 3 minutes, and please speak clearly so your comments, we can get a complete record of your public comment. Nathan Silva is going to assist me with this verbal comment period or formal comment period. Nathan, who will we be calling upon first?
Okay, the first person to register is Judy Caruli. That's Judy Caruli.
Nathan, Judy Caruli is not online.
Okay, the next person is Sally Wren. Can please state your name and address? Sally Wren.
Hi, this is Sally Wren. I live at 101 West Grace Avenue in Haines City. My concern is that, that we are way behind getting this done. The properties that you're going through, quite a bit of them are owned by my family, up around the Ernie Caldwell area and Standard Sand, because that's my family's business. At this point, when people go to turn left out of our office, you're kind of taking your life in your hands. And so I'm a little disappointed that the state has taken so long to address this issue. And even though it's going to severely impact our properties, let's get this done. And the other thing I'm going to recommend is that because my grandfather purchased the property where the Polk Parkway is going to end up there around Ernie Caldwell, he purchased it in 1940. And then he's also had sand mining, or my father's had sand mining down in in Lake Wells. I'm going to suggest, in memory of these two wonderful men, that one of those sections be named the Carnes Expressway, because my dad donated a significant portion of the property that Ernie Caldwell was built on to the county. He also donated the property where the fire station sits on there. And he also was named a Polk Pioneer of the Year last year. So that's all I have to say, but just if you would consider that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment, Sally. And as a reminder, we will respond to all comments after the public comment period ends on December 15th. So the next person registered is Danita Giles.
Nathan, Donita Giles is not online.
Okay, next on the list is Cynthia Hamilton.
Nathan, Cynthia Hamilton is not online.
Okay, next is Jorge Sevilla.
Jorge Sevilla is not online.
Okay, Deborah Metcalf is next. As a reminder, please state your name and address. Deborah Metcalf.
Deborah Metcalf is not online.
Next is Quintina Snowden. Quintina Snowden.
Quintina Snowden is not online.
Okay, next is Jonathan Kissel. Jonathan Kissel, please state your name and address, please.
Mr. Kissel is online, but he is not unmuting his device.
Okay, next is Vanna Keogh. Vanna Keogh.
Vanna Keogh is not online.
Next is Brian Potts. Brian Potts.
Brian Potts is not online.
Next register is Randy Emile. Randy Emile.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Randy Middle, and I live at 2504 Penguin Boulevard in Horse Creek. So I just want to say I'm really on board for what this project is going to provide to the community, given that Davenport is experiencing rapid development. I just have two questions at this point in time. The first one would be is I know that Powerline Road, there was some mention by the city of Davenport that that was supposed to open in phases last year, and the community really has not gotten an update regarding that. So if you're able to provide an update as to when Powerline would connect with 1792 in advance of this highway project would be appreciated. And then the second question I have, and I know it's early because we haven't gotten into the design phase, but I know that segment 2 and segment 3 of the project are going to be offset of 1792, so I'm not expecting major impacts to traffic flow, but I'm a little bit concerned or would want more clarification as to how segment 1 would be constructed, or in what order the project segments would be, if it's starting with reworking the one or the other direction, because I just want to have better clarification and an expectation as a local resident, how traffic is going to be mitigated to add the highway portions and put in the middle of the highway, and then put the community local roads on the side in segment 1.
Okay, thanks for your comments, Randy. And as I mentioned, after the public comment period closes on December the 15th, we will provide a written email response to all the questions and comments that we received tonight.
Okay.
So the next speaker is Erica Jacobson. Erica Jacobson.
Hello, I'm with Sable Trail Transmission. I just wanted to confirm that this is going to tie into the expansion that's coming down from I-4 and 429.
Yes, it is. And as I mentioned, we will provide a written response to your question in an email
Great.
after. But yes, okay. Okay, thank you, Erica. Next is Marco Fontalvo. Marco Fontalvo.
We've asked Marco Fontalvo to unmute their device.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Next is Kathy Parker. Kathy Parker.
Kathy Parker is not online.
Next is Nissan Andruzier. Nissan Andruzier.
Nissan is not online.
Next is Meyer Andruzier. Meyer Andruzier, please state your name and address.
We've asked Mayor to unmute their device, but it seems like they are not.
Do you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Please state your name and
Beautiful.
address.
Mayor Andruzier. I represent Nest Paper at 315 US Highway 1792 North, Davenport, Florida. Is the expansion of the 1792, from what I understand, it's turning into 4 lanes each way. Is that going to be south of James Street, or like how will the 1792 south of James Street merge into the expansion that's moving north?
We'll explain that in an email response to you, Mayor, after the public comment period closes after the December 15th.
Thank you very much.
Next on the list is Helen Bodie. Helen Bodie.
Nathan Helen Body is not online.
Okay. Next registrant is Sugeri Kazme. Sugeri Kazme.
It appears that Sugeri is unmuted and is able to speak. We will try again later.
Okay. Next registrant is David Price. David Price.
David Price is not online.
Okay. Next is Jairo Pantonja. Jairo Pantonja.
Kyra, we've sent a request for you to unmute your device.
Okay, we'll come back. Next is Eugene Kelly. Eugene Kelly, please state your name and address and add your comments.
Eugene Kelly is not online, but if we can go back to Cosme.
Okay, Shigeri Kazme?
We're still unable to hear, even though on our end, it's saying that your device is unmuted. We'll try one more time later on.
Okay, next, Jeanette Parker. Jeanette Parker.
Jeanette Parker is not online.
Okay. Corey Bodie. Corey Bodie.
Corey is not online.
Okay, that completes the list of those that registered, that identified themselves as wanting to speak during the registration.
Thank you, Nathan. So we will now call on other participants wishing to provide input. Please use the raise your hand feature to be called upon. I see that there are several that three so far that are using the raise your hand feature, including Mr. Cosme. We will try you again. We're now up to 5 persons. So when you're called upon, please state your full name and address. If you represent an organization, municipality, or other public body, please provide that information as well. We still ask that you limit your input to 3 minutes, and please speak clearly so that we can get a complete record of your comments. Okay, so let's go ahead, Nathan. I will go ahead and call the names and unmute the folks who have raised their hands. The first person is Jesus Rodriguez.
Hello, yes. My name is Jesus Rodriguez. I live in 6622 Ivy Miss Lane off of 1792. My question and concern is more information in regards to the merger from that extension that was just provided to us, as well as the 538 extension. Our property does sit on that line. We did recently receive a letter in regards to property appraisal and the right of way. So it wasn't too much clear on the visuals. So if we could get that clarified later on in December. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Jesus. And we, as mentioned, we'll provide a written response to you after our public comment period closes. So the next person that has identified themselves is George Abubara. George Abubara.
Hey, good evening. I think this project is well overdue. I think it's marvelous. I just moved into the area about 9 months ago, 1234 Island Slough Lane in Davenport. And I feel like maybe there's more to do in that aspect. I'd love to see this finished soon and get over with this traffic that we face every morning and every evening. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Next. Eyal Peretz. Eyal Peretz, please state your name and address.
Hi there, Eyal Peretz. We actually are a lender that took over a property through by means of foreclosure, and we just received the notice today, actually. So we're still trying to understand what are we even talking about and how does that impact our property. But we are trying to understand it and unclear as we are under contract to sell the property to to a buyer for a development of about 140 homes. So we're not sure how it impacts our property at this point. Obviously, with a very short notice, I'm still trying to understand what it all entails, and I hope to get clarification today.
Sure. So if you can provide, would you please state the address of the property, and we will respond, we'll provide your response in an email.
I don't have an address. It's a parcel. So I can get the parcel number.
Yeah, if you can send us the parcel number or in an email,
Yeah,
we'll provide a response for you.
perfect.
Send
I'll
that
do
to us.
so.
Okay.
I'll do
All right.
so. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're going to try Gyro Pantoja. I'm sorry. Again, Gyro Pantoja.
Did he speak already?
Hello, good night. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Jairo Pantoja. My address, I'm owner of 5035 Barnett Drive, Davenport, Florida. So my question is, maybe do you have some specific information about mitigation measures and timelines like noise barriers, drainage, improvements, safety measures, constructions schedule, and if I can review that on the project plans?
Yes, we will provide you a response in the email. Also, I'll direct you to our project website that has a lot of that information available already. We'll send an email to you.
Sweet, thank you.
Okay, next is Dan Gutierrez. Dan Gutierrez.
Hi, Dan Gutierrez, 4302 Eastminster Road, Davenport in Providence, in the Providence community. I moved out here about, it'll be 2 years in February. Traffic is horrible, but I was happy that the Old Lake Wilson Road was being, I guess, expanded lane-wise. My question or thought is, I actually moved from Apopka, and when we moved out there, the 429 had recently opened, going up in that direction, and it was 2 north and 2 south lanes. And that lasted less than, I think, 7 years before they decided to add more lane, an additional lane to it. Is there any consideration as to or towards making this project have a third lane in each direction, just to avoid having to do it 5, 7, 10 years down the road, if needed, based on projected population expectations and whatnot, just doing it ahead of time. Also, and then the second thought was or is EV charging lanes. Is that something that's going to be a part of this project on any part of those roads?
Thanks for your questions, Dan. And like I said, we will provide a response to you in an email sometime after December the 15th.
Thank you.
Okay, next with his hand raised is Glenn Arbeitman. Glenn Arbeitman. Can you unmute your device, Glenn, and provide your comment? We'll try again later, Glenn. Next. Karen Ricketts. Karen Ricketts has her hand raised.
Hi, good evening. My name is Corinne Ricketts. I live at 1268 Berry Lane in Davenport, the Halls Creek Phase 2 community. And my question is related to the cost to the residents of this construction. I recently have been getting an assessment for the North Power Line Road CDD debt and maintenance for the last 2 years. I just want to know what the additional cost would be to the residents. And, that's a big impact to us. Also, if the streets are gonna have, if it's gonna have streetlights, because 1792 is rather dark, would they have streetlights and would they work? Because there's a lot that's on Ernie Caldwell. Sometimes they don't come on at all. That's it for me.
Okay, thanks for your questions, Karen. We'll provide a written response to you in an email. Okay, next person with their hand raised is Jesse Lagares. Jesse Lagares. Would you like to speak, Jesse? Okay. Okay, James Graham. You have your hand raised. Would you like to make a comment? James Graham. James? Okay, next, Jeffrey Herrera. Jeffrey Herrera, you have your hand raised. Would you like to make a statement?
Yeah, hi, Jeff Herrera, 579 Westchester Court in Providence. Is the preferred alternative express especially a done deal, or is that, because it seems to me like going from 2 lanes at 1792 now to 8 lanes across is a lot, especially for noise. So I may be in the minority, but I think that's my preferred request. If it's still in the planning stages, that it be less lanes and that it be straight without the overhead, the overpass, the express that goes into Providence. And if it's a done deal, or if it does get selected, then we would prefer, my wife and I, that the noise wall, since we're close to it, be extended to Ronald Reagan Parkway all the way.
Okay, thanks for your comment, Jeff. We'll provide a response to you. Okay, we're gonna try James Graham again. James, are you there? You have your hand raised. James? Okay. Okay, we're gonna try Glenn Arbeitman again. Glenn Arbeitman.
Yes, good evening, Glenn Arbeitman. Thank you, and apologies for the difficulties earlier. I am actually following up, you heard earlier from my colleague, Al Peretz, we are a property owner between the rail tracks and the highways, subject of this widening. We have not actually received any notice, and it was really by chance that we heard about this hearing, this whole process, frankly, just this afternoon. So we rather hastily, around 6:15, 6:30, joined the hearing. Is there a process we can follow to make sure that we're being notified and contacted as this develops?
Yes, yes, there is. It's fully explained on our project website, but yes, there is a process, and we will notify you and provide a detailed written response to you to your email.
Thanks very much.
Okay, next is Wanda Irvin. Wanda, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I am speaking on behalf of my mom who owns the property at 6606 Highway 1792 North, which is approximately about a mile north of the Ronald Reagan Parkway. We've been in this development for, I want to say 5 or 6 years now. And my my family has owned the property since 1950. And so pretty good chunk of her property will be eliminated because there are 3 other parcels that are adjacent to the 6606. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, or probably need to talk to someone that is in the, I guess, in- I guess dealing with the, the moving process or whatever that department is called going forward of what was going to be happening as in regards to her property.
Yes, that's the right-of-way acquisition team. There was a slide in the presentation about that. You can also visit the website, but we will also send you an email with detailed information. Could you please provide the address of your mother's property again?
The main property at 6606 Highway 1792 North, Davenport.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll provide an email to you with some information.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? If so, please raise your virtual hand.
Okay, Jesse Lagares, your hand is up. Would you like to make a statement? Jesse? Jesse, you're unmuted on our end. There must be some kind of technical difficulty, Jesse, or something is preventing you from unmuting on your end.
Nathan, it seems like that is the last of it. Oh, we just have another one, Mario Martinez.
Mario Martinez, if you'd like to make a statement, please state your name and address.
My name is Mario Martinez. I live at 3314 US Highway 1792 North. And I got a few questions, okay? with all this development around my property, I mean, I'm looking at section 2 on the graph that you guys showed, and I'm actually, it looks like my property is on the on-ramp where the toll booth is going to be, right across Cotty corner from my driveway. Uh, my question is, I'll have exactly 3 lanes in front of my gate, uh, 2 of regular flow, and I'm guessing 1 for turning lane for traffic. And I would only be able to make a right out of my driveway from then on, if I have a driveway, because my property is like the front, my house is towards the front of the property. So I don't know how much of my property I will lose, if I will lose all of it because the house is close to the front of the property. And if I don't lose the house, with all the development around here, I don't, this is not a flood zone. Will I get flooded after because of, I mean, my property is pretty high, but we've never had issues with flooding. I don't want to become a flood zone. Um, and how much of my property I will lose, if I'm going to lose a chunk of it or all of it, you know? I really would like to know, because this affects me directly, on all the way around inconvenience. And, this is a property that I purchased a long time ago and finally paid it off, and finally is our forever home and retirement, and lots of memories here with my folks that passed away, and my grown kids now. So it really hits home when I'm looking at everything that is being developed around us right now at this time. And it's I really want to know so I can get my head around it. I'm not going to be against it because the traffic is going to get better, then it should benefit me as well. So yeah, I got a few concerns which they're quite, you know reasonable, I think.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Mario. Can you please give me your your property address one more time, and we will provide a response to you in an email in writing.
It is 3314 US Highway 1792 North, Davenport 33837.
Okay. Thank you, Mario.
Thank
Okay, Jamie Gonzalez, you have your hand raised. Would you like to make a statement? Jamie Gonzalez?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello. Yes, so I'm a resident of Lake Hamilton. I hear that you're gonna email people and what's on the website, but just a year, can you give me I mean, I saw that they were gonna start making offers to people in 2028 maybe, and I also saw that we're on stage 2 after planning. So looking at that stage 5, are we looking at least another 5 years, or can you give me an idea of when you're expecting to get to stage 5?
We'll
Without
provide
emailing.
we'll provide a response on the schedule to you.
Uh, yeah, but I mean, are we looking at 5-year, 10-year plan? Hello?
Yes, we will
Yeah.
provide a response to you in writing.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jairo, Pantoja, your hand is still up. Would you like to make another comment?
Did we? No, we can't do that. We did? No, we're not taking multiple comments.
Jairo Pantanjo? Okay.
Hi, the session will be recorded.
Yes, this is being recorded.
And where can I access the recording?
A recording will be posted to the project website, and we will provide that link to your email address that you used to register for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. After tonight's public hearing, you can submit written comments at the project website, or you can email or mail your comments directly to the project manager. Written comments must be received no later than Monday, December 15th, 2025, to become part of the public hearing record. We would also like to remind everyone that the in-person public hearing will be held this Thursday, December 4th. It starts as an open house at 5:30 p.m. and then the formal public hearing will begin at 6 p.m., followed again by a verbal comment period where there'll be a microphone and a court reporter to take verbal comments. That will be held this Thursday from 5:30 open house, 6 o'clock p.m. The formal public hearing starts at the Tom Fellows Community Center in Davenport, Florida. The verbatim transcript of this hearing's all proceedings, together with all written material received as part of the hearing record and all studies, displays, and an informational material provided at the hearing, will be made part of the project's decision-making process and will be available on the project website for public review and also at the Turnpike headquarters upon request. Thank you for attending this public hearing and for providing your input into this project. The time is now 7:28 p.m. and we will formally close the public hearing. Thank you for your participation and have a good evening.